Now, to be able to solve questions in this chapter, we should be very sure of how to get the energy of a body, or say angular momentum of the body, or the direction of friction on a rolling body. So these aspects, we'll just go through them one by one before we start solving questions. Now, the first one being finding the energy of a body. Now all these formula will have this kind of component of the CM around the CM. As you have seen in moment of inertia of say this body around this axis. Now how do we apply of the CM and around the CM? Of the CM means as if the whole body was at the center of mass. So the center of mass was say d distance away from the axis of rotation. So the moment of inertia about this axis, say the axis is p axis, moment of inertia around p axis would be, of the CM would be md square. That's the moment of inertia had it been a point body, but it's not a point body. So with respect to the body, even the body is going around like this, with respect to the center of mass, the body itself is rotating about the center of mass with a moment of inertia of ICM. So your moment of inertia about the axis would be ICM plus md square, about the CM plus of the CM. So that kind of formula persists with all the other formulae in this chapter, like kinetic energy and angular momentum. So kinetic energy of any body can be given by, as if it was a point body, as if it was not a body which is an extended body and rotating about the center of mass. It is just the point body and moving with the velocity v without any rotation. And if there is rotation, then the kinetic energy of the body as if it was rotating about the center of mass. So these 2 points, these 2 factors, these 2 parts together gives us a complete idea of the kinetic energy. As I discussed earlier also, your kinetic energy of a body which was having say 3 beats or 2 beats I showed you earlier is rotating with omega and going forward. So it did not come half mv square, where this m was all the 3 together, so 3m in this case. It did not come half into 3m into v square. It came this much plus something, and that plus something, if you remember, was exactly the ICM. So we had done the kinetic energy of all the bodies separately. It was half mv plus omega r the whole square. This was half mv square. This was half mv minus omega r the whole square, and all 3 added ultimately gave you the kinetic energy as if it was a point body of 3m over here. So half 3mv square plus another factor which is coming into play due to the fact that the body is rotating. Now one may wonder, like if the body was rotating, let me take a long body like a rod, say rotating about this point with omega. Now after rotating, say the body comes over here. So it has rotated by theta amount, and in t time it has rotated by amount of theta. Angular velocity was omega, where omega t is equal to theta. Now if I say what is the omega as if you were sitting on the body at any given point, so let me take it as the center of mass itself. You can take it anywhere, you can take it here, you can take it there. In fact, let me take it at any random point, say here. This point is A. Now, with respect to A, what has happened to the body? Now, if the point A sees the rest of the body was straight like this. After some time, with respect to A means A has not moved. A doesn't know that it has gone from here to there. So, we'll just take this thing and put it back over there. We'll take it up and put it back so that A is on A. So, when A is on A, then the situation should look something like this. That is how it looks to A. For A, the body has gone like this, as if you were on the rod and on roller skates, so that you are not rotating with the rod. You are on the rod. What you see is the rod was straight up there. Now the rod has gone like this. The rod was straight. This nail is you on the rod. The rod was straight. Now it has gone like this. That is what you see. Now, how much angle it has rotated? Is there any link with this and this angle? Say this is theta dash. So what do you think? This theta and this, so this line, this theta dash and theta, is there any link? This line is parallel to this line. So what we see is with the vertical, this line was making angle theta. Now with the vertical, this parallel line must be making the same angle theta. So theta dash is nothing but theta. So in t time, it has gone theta. In t time, this A will think that the rod is rotated with theta. So that's the beauty of a rigid body, and hence what we have in course is only rigid body because it is much more dealable than we can deal with it much more easily than flexible bodies. So what we see is if a rigid body is rotating around any point with omega, then any point on the body A is rotating about any other point on the body or any other fixed point in fact outside maybe B. So any point A on the body with respect to any point B on the body is again rotating with omega. So all the points are rotating with omega on the body with respect to any other point. So what happens is, if I was dealing with a question which was not rotating about Cm, then if I say what happened to the Cm and what is the angular velocity around the Cm, then the angular velocity around the Cm comes as the same omega which is equal to the omega about a fixed point. Say about a fixed point, the omega is there, so omega about the Cm comes as same. So in this case, which is a case of, say a rod is going forward with V and it is rotating with omega. So what happens is, when the rod is going forward with V and it is rotating with omega, we have discussed earlier that the energy will come as more than the energy of the center of mass, which is half m v square, plus something. That plus something will be I omega square. That omega is the angular velocity around the Cm. So here it was around the Cm. Here omega is about a fixed point, but omega above the Cm will be same. This omega and this omega will be same. This is quite important. So you can make a note of that in your head, that omega of any point on a body with respect to any other point is always same as the omega about a fixed point of rotation of the body. So that's your formula of kinetic energy, and this formula can be applied always in any situation of a rigid body which is rotating. You can apply this formula. Why I am writing always? Because I am going to propose another formula which looks much simpler and it is in fact easier to apply, but that formula can be applied only in special circumstances. Yeah, so what's that special circumstance? That is, if the body is rotating about a fixed point of rotation, as it was drawn the diagram. So I will again give you a question and draw a diagram for that. So I'll write another formula for kinetic energy, and that's a simpler formula, probably a simpler formula for many of you. So that is half I omega square, but this I is about a fixed point of rotation. So where P is a fixed axis of rotation in fact. Okay. Now before I give you a question, let me see whether you will be able to choose which formula to apply or not. In any case you can apply the formula, the top formula, but in cases where the lower formula can be applied, you might find it easier. So you will have to pick whether the lower formula can be applied in a certain case or not. Okay, let me put two or three situations. One is, as I have drawn, that's quite a simple situation. A rod is hanging about a hinge, that's your hinged point over there, that's the hinge point over there, and it can rotate about the hinge point. Okay, this is situation number one. Situation number two is, there is a ball or a disc or cylinder which is rolling on a perfectly flat surface which is having enough friction so that it rolls. So after some time it reaches here, it has been rolling. So what do you think, which formula can you apply in which case? I hope you have picked it right. you have a fixed point of rotation over here. It rotates about this like this, can go all round, but about this fixed point of rotation. Hence, you can apply this formula. So in here, formula number 2 can be applied, and always your formula number 1 can always be applied. It would be convenient to apply formula number 2, but we apply both the formula to show you. Here, there is no fixed point of rotation. Initially, the ball was rotating about this point. Some may say that it was rotating about this point. This was the instantaneous point of rotation, whatever. But after some time, it is rolling around this or rolling around this. So it is not having a fixed point of rotation. It is the point of rotation itself is moving. So in a free body, what happens is, if you have an actual free body, this is having ground at the bottom and all. But if you have a free body, if I throw this up, invariably it will rotate about the center of mass. So we can discuss that a bit later. So why it will rotate about the center of mass, that's simple application of why F is equal to ma, how F is equal to ma is applied on any body whether rotating or not, where m is the acceleration of the center of mass. So anyways, here what formula you can apply is only formula number 1. If I put it as formula number 1 and this one as formula number 2, then here you can apply only formula number 1. Only formula number 1, and here you can apply formula number 2 as well as formula number 1. Both can be applied. Both can be applied. Okay. Now let me give you a question so that you can apply the formula and check out the answers. Question number 1. Okay, let me give you. There's a rod of mass m, length L, uniform mass density. So it's a thin rod, mass m, and this is hinged about this point. That's your hinge. So it is just supported by your hand or by a string for a while, and then you let it go from the horizontal position. It is absolutely horizontal. So what do you reckon what will happen? It is going to go down and then again going to go up. If it is all frictionless, then it will go up till the same level. So what I want is, when it is at the bottommost point, then what is the omega? So it's a simple application of energy. So try to do it. So I hope you have got the answer. First, for writing potential energy, you can take the center of mass, and whatever is the potential energy of the center of mass, as if the whole mass was at the center of mass, would be the potential energy even if you have taken it all separately. So that's an advantage. So potential energy initially was the mass was at this height and finally it is at this height. So I can take this height as 0 level. You can take the height this as 0 level or this as 0 level, your wish. So what I say is, initially the whole of energy was just the potential energy, which is mg by 2. Finally, the potential energy is 0 because the mass comes over here. Mind you, some of you think that the rod has dropped and you say that it has dropped by L. The rod has not dropped by L, the tip has dropped by L. But the mass was not at the tip. The mass was not even here. This part has not dropped at all. So some part has dropped by L, some part has dropped by 0, but as a consolidated mass at the center of mass, it has dropped by L by 2. This is where it has dropped to. It has dropped by L by 2. So the potential energy becomes 0. The loss of potential energy is gain in kinetic energy. Now which formula would you like to apply? So we'll apply both the formulas. I said formula number 2 is easy to apply, so we'll go by formula number 2 and we'll try to apply that formula over here. We have a fixed point of rotation. So what does the formula say? It says half I about the fixed point of rotation. So I of the rod about that will be 1 by 3 ml square times omega square, and that's your answer. That's done. So your 2 will get cancelled here, your m gets cancelled, 1l gets cancelled, you'll get your omega. Just verify that the units of omega should be nothing by time square. Now if I apply the first formula, let's see how it works. I'll give you a minute to write the formula yourself, or half a minute say, and then you can check out how it is written. So pause the video. Okay, so going by the first formula, that's how I'm going to apply the first formula. What does it say? It says First, the loss of potential energy is gained in kinetic energy. What is the kinetic energy of the body? The kinetic energy of the body, you said it is going by omega. So you said it is half I about the point of rotation into omega square. All right, but with as if it was a point body, all located at the CM. What would be the kinetic energy? It would be half into mass into the velocity of that point square. What will be the velocity of that point? It is omega into L by 2 whole square. That's the velocity of this point. I hope you agree with that. This point will be going with omega into L by 2. Omega is the angular speed and this length is L by 2. This point over here will be going with omega into L. This point over here will be going with omega into L by 4 say. So that's your kinetic energy of the center of mass. But we know that that's not enough. That's this part, kinetic energy of the center of mass. If you want to write, you can put velocity of the center of mass over there. Plus, what do you get? What we have is half. Now we don't care about which point it was rotating. In this formula, it has to be ICM. No other way. It has to be ICM. So what is ICM of the rod? 1 by 12 ml square. That's your ICM of the rod into omega square. Which omega? This will be rotating about the center of mass with the same omega as explained to you earlier. So this omega will be that omega. That's crucial. This omega and this omega will be same. So that's a wonderful thing. So half ICM omega square. I'm not going to work it out fully. What I'm going to show is, in half a minute you will see what I'm going to show. So what I'm going to do is, I'll take this half common, I'll take the omega square common, I'll just take the omega square outside. I have omega square there. If I take the omega square outside, what remains in the bracket is m L by 2 whole square and 1 by 12 ml square. If I compare this formula to this formula, what's the difference? I have half omega square, and I have this thing. So what is this? This is in fact the parallel axis theorem. You have ICM and you have m into L square, that's the distance of the axis of rotation from the CM. That's your L by 2. So it is a md square. So I don't have it on the board now, but it is md square plus ICM. So this is your parallel axis theorem. So what it is showing you is that applying the parallel axis theorem or applying this formula correctly is all the same thing. It is of the CM and around the CM. If you apply, you get basically the same thing. So whether you apply this or this, you get the same answer. This is one line long, but it looks one line long because you already knew that the I above the hinge was 1 by 3 ml square. So that is not known for all bodies. In fact, if this very body was not rotating about the end point and I said it was rotating about some other point, say L by 4 over here, then how you would have done it? You would have found the I about this point, applying your ICM plus MD square. You would have applied your MD square plus ICM to get your I about this point and then applied this formula. So that would have been as good as doing this, because this is that your ICM plus your MD square. So if it was not a known moment of inertia about a point of rotation, then even if you are doing this, you are basically doing the same number of steps when you would have done this with a fixed point of rotation. I hope this is clear. So let me put another example where you can't apply this and you have to apply this. That's again a very simple example, and fortunately such simple questions do come. So the one what I am going to give is what has come in JEE earlier. They are just testing that whether you know the formula correctly or not, you know the application correctly or not. So that's an inclined plane, inclination theta. You have, say, a solid cylinder on it. Solid cylinder, mass m, radius r, and it is let go. It rolls down. So when it reaches The bottom point, it is a smooth roll down. It has smoothly rolled down. It reaches over here. I need to know the velocity initially, and since we are just practicing formula, what I am going to give you is the exact loss in height. So it was h above. Mind you, they say that the body, this point was h above. The loss in potential energy, if this was say h dash, this h dash is not h. You can see, what you have to see is how much is the angle. So that theta gives you the angle with the vertical, and how much is this point from here to there, and from here how much down is that point. So that little bit of geometry you'll have to do, and you can't simply say that if this height was h, that's not on my h, because here it is r above the ground and here it is not r. This much is not equal to r above this point, so that is less than r. R cos theta is this much and this is r. So the loss in height is not how much is this height given. So you have to be careful on how much is the loss in height, provided your r is big enough in front of h. If r is very less in front of h, don't have to bother. This h dash, that h will be all same. So I'm just going to rub off all these things. What you have to find is, initially your v was 0, your omega was 0, that's your initial condition, and when it rolls down there is enough friction. Enough friction means it will roll and it will not slide. If it just slides and there is no friction, it just slides down, then your mgh, loss in potential energy, is gain in kinetic energy half mv square. But when it rolls down, then your loss in potential energy mgh is not half mv square, but it is a formula given by all those things. So you just do that, and should take half a minute to just write the equation. Don't have to calculate, just write what the equation is, that's enough. Yeah, okay, so what's the initial energy? Initial, say this energy is zero level energy, that's your zero level. So your initial energy is mgh. Final energy is given by the first equation only, it can't be given by the second equation. So what's the energy? As if it was a point body, it is half mv square, that's the kinetic energy, plus what is the kinetic energy about the cm? It is half ICM of a solid cylinder. Solid cylinder is half mr square. That's your ICM. This is your ICM, this part, ICM. So half mr square into omega square. Now the unknown over here is your velocity. Velocity is unknown. So if I put a v and I put a omega, which is another unknown, then I won't be able to calculate unless I have another equation, but I don't have another equation. I have just this equation to get the answer. This equation should be enough to get the answer. What you see is, higher is the moment of inertia of the body, higher is this value, lower will be your v, because the moment of inertia is high, it takes a lot of effort in increasing the kinetic energy. So this loss of potential energy would be same. If there was no moment of inertia, I mean there was no rotation, then all the potential energy would have gone into the velocity. But if there is moment of inertia, then some of the energy will go into rotating it, and hence the net velocity will be less. So if more is the moment of inertia, more of the potential energy will just be consumed in giving it an angular velocity omega, and with lesser velocity or lesser angular velocity it will go down. So higher the moment of inertia, lower will be the velocity. So questions based on that also come in some exams. Solid sphere is rolled down, hollow sphere is rolled down. So compare their velocities, put the order of their velocities. So what you will say is the highest moment of inertia will have lower velocity. Masses are same, then I hope you know the ring has the highest moment of inertia. Why it has the highest moment of inertia? Because all the mass is concentrated on the rim. So the masses are far from the axis, that's your axis, all the masses are far. If it is a hollow sphere, then masses are far, but then the masses come close, and some are crossing the axis also over there. So it is lesser than that, that is 2 by 3. Your moment of inertia of a ring is 1 mr square. Hollow sphere would be 2 by 3 mr square. Your solid disk or a cylinder would be half mr square, because lot of mass is near the axis, some mass is away, lot is away and lot is very near to the axis. So that's your axis of rotation, that is half mr square. And for solid, the masses converge and their mass is very near, so that is your 2 by 5 mr square. So 2 by 5 being the least among all, you can just check. 2 by 3 is 0.667, this is 0.5, 2 by 5 is 0.4. So the higher the moment of inertia, lower will be the velocity. So this has in fact come in an exam. Now one more thing to notice over here is I made this curvature quite smooth. So if the curvature was not smooth, and I ask you, then some questions, with other data given, some questions will try to catch you over there. What happens is, this goes and impacts on this, and if it is not bouncing, then it's a question of collision, and what you have to assume is the vertical component of the velocity just sticks to the ground and the horizontal component keeps on going forward. So there is a collision, there is a non-elastic collision in the vertical frame. So you have to write equation of collision also to get your answer, right? So if it is a sharp corner and there is indication in the question, then you'll have to take care of it. Then you'll have to take care of it. I'm not doing it right now because I'm just discussing simple energy equations, how to apply the energy equation. I'll next discuss how to apply angular velocity equation.